Picture this, your 10th wedding anniversary dinner. 50 guests watching as your husband stands up to make a toast. But instead of declaring his love, he announces he's leaving you for his soulmate. Everyone gasps. The room goes dead silent. And me? I smiled, raised my glass, and delivered 7 words that made him realize he'd just made the biggest mistake of his life. What would you do if your spouse humiliated you in front of everyone you know? Would you cry? Scream? Beg? Not me. Because for 3 months, I'd been preparing for this exact moment. And when he saw what I'd done, his face went from smug satisfaction to pure terror in seconds. This is the story of how I turned my husband's betrayal into his worst nightmare. And trust me, you're going to want to hear every single detail. My name is Sarah. I'm 34 years old, and until 3 months ago, I thought I had the perfect marriage. Marcus and I met in college. He was studying business. I was in pre-law. We were that couple everyone envied. You know the type. Matching Halloween costumes, cute Instagram posts, Sunday morning farmers market runs. We got married right after graduation, built our careers together. I became a corporate lawyer. He started his own tech company. By year 5, we were living in a beautiful house in the suburbs, 2 cars, joint bank accounts, planning for kids. Everything looked perfect from the outside. But here is what people didn't see. The late nights he spent at the office, the way he'd guard his phone like it contained nuclear codes, how he'd suddenly started going to the gym at 5 a.m. New cologne, new underwear, new excuses. I'm not stupid. I knew something was off, but I trusted him. Because that's what you do in a marriage, right? You trust. You believe. You ignore that little voice in your head that whispers, something's wrong. 3 months before our anniversary, that little voice became a scream. And that's when I found out about Jessica, his 23-year-old marketing consultant, the one he'd hired 6 months earlier, the one with the MBA from Stanford, the one that looked like a Victoria's Secret model. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how I discovered the truth, because that's where this story really begins. It was a Tuesday night in May. Marcus was working late again, 3rd time that week. I'd ordered Thai food for 1, again, sat on our expensive couch, watching Netflix, feeling like a stranger in my own home. Then his iPad started pinging. He'd left it on the coffee table. Usually it's locked, but tonight the screen was still active. Message after message popping up from someone named Jay. I shouldn't have looked. I know I shouldn't have, but something made me pick it up. The messages were explicit. Can't wait to see you tonight, baby. Wear that tie I bought you. 3 more months and we can finally be together openly. 3 more months? Our anniversary was in 3 months. My hands were shaking, heart pounding, but I kept reading. Scrolled up through months of messages, pictures, videos, plans. They weren't just having an affair, they were planning a future together. A future that started right after our anniversary. Once you leave Sarah, we can finally be together openly. The divorce will be quick if you do it right. My dad's lawyer says if you file first, you'll keep most of the assets. Her dad's lawyer. They'd already consulted a lawyer. But the next message? That's the one that changed everything. That's the one that turned my heartbreak into pure, calculated rage.
Just make sure you move the money before you tell her. Once it's in the Cayman account, she can't touch it. My dad did the same thing to my mom. Move the money. Our money. 10 years of savings, my bonuses, my investments, everything I'd worked for. He was planning to leave me broke and humiliated. I sat there for an hour, iPad in my lap, reading every message, taking screenshots, sending them to my personal email. By the time Marcus came home at midnight, smelling like her perfume, I had made a decision. He wanted to play games? Fine. But he had no idea who he was playing with. I smiled when he kissed my forehead, asked about his day, listened to his lies about server crashes and coding problems, played the perfect, oblivious wife, all while planning his complete and utter destruction.
The next 3 months were the hardest of my life. Not because I was heartbroken, no, because I had to pretend everything was fine. Every morning, I'd kiss him goodbye. Every evening, I'd ask about his day. Every weekend, we'd have dinner with friends. And the whole time, I was gathering evidence. See, Marcus thought he was so smart, moving money in small increments, 5,000 here, 10,000 there. Investment opportunities, he'd say. Crypto's the future, babe. I'd nod, smile, even offered to help him invest more. What he didn't know? I'd already talked to 3 different lawyers, the best divorce attorneys in the state, and they'd all told me the same thing. Document everything. Let him hang himself. The more he takes, the worse it looks in court. So that's what I did. I installed tracking software on his car. Perfectly legal. It was registered in my name. Started recording our conversations. Legal in our state with one-party consent. Hired a private investigator, worth every penny. The PI was a gold mine. Photos of them at hotels, receipts from jewelry stores, evidence of the offshore accounts, even video of them looking at engagement rings. Engagement rings? While he was still married to me? But the best part? Jessica had no idea who she was messing with. See, I'd done my research on her, too. Stanford MBA? Real. Marketing consultant? Sort of. Her dad being rich? That was the lie. Jessica was drowning in student loans, $200,000 worth, living in a studio apartment, driving a leased BMW she couldn't afford, playing pretend on Instagram. She wasn't after Marcus for love. She was after him for his money. Money she thought he had. Money that was actually mine. Because here's what neither of them knew. Marcus's company? It was successful because of my connections, my clients that I referred, my late nights helping him with proposals, my investment of my entire inheritance from my grandmother. Without me, his company was worth maybe 20% of what he thought. And I was about to make sure he found that out, the hard way. But first, I had to make it through our anniversary dinner. The stage was set, the players were in position, and Marcus was about to give the performance of his life. He just didn't know he was the villain in this story. 2 weeks before our anniversary, Marcus started getting nervous. I could see it in his eyes. The way he'd jump when his phone buzzed, how he'd stare at me during dinner like he was trying to read my mind. "You okay, honey?" I'd ask sweetly. "Just stressed about work," he'd mumble. Right, stressed. More like stressed about his plan. See, I'd been dropping hints about our anniversary party. I've invited everyone, your parents, my parents, all our friends.
The restaurant is perfect. That new place downtown with the private room. I even hired a photographer to capture the memories. Every detail made him sweat a little more. Because how do you announce you're leaving your wife in front of her parents? But Jessica was pushing him. I knew because I was still reading their messages. You promised after your anniversary. I'm tired of being your dirty secret. If you don't tell her, I will. The ultimatums were getting nastier. The threats more explicit. She'd even sent him photos of them together. Imagine if these accidentally got sent to Sarah's work email. Blackmail. Nice girl, that Jessica. Meanwhile, I was busy with my own preparations. First, I met with my lawyer one last time, signed some very important documents. Papers that would come in handy very soon. Second, I called my brother. He's a forensic accountant, specializes in finding hidden assets. I need you at the dinner, I told him. Bring your laptop. Third, I made a special visit to Marcus's office, after hours, of course, using my key, the one he didn't know I'd copied. What I found there was illuminating. Contracts with forged signatures, my signatures, transferring my shares in his company. Documents dated for the day after our anniversary. He wasn't just planning to leave me broke. He was planning to steal my entire investment. I took photos of everything. Then I did something else. Something that would make all the difference. I called his biggest client, the one worth 60% of his revenue. My former law school roommate's husband. Hey, David, quick question. Are you happy with Marcus's services? Good, good. Listen, I need to tell you something. By the time I hung up, the dominoes were in place. All I had to do was wait for Marcus to knock over the first one. The night before our anniversary, Marcus was a wreck. Pacing, sweating, checking his phone every 2 minutes. Excited about tomorrow? I asked, rubbing his shoulders. He nearly jumped out of his skin. Yeah, can't wait. I kissed his cheek, told him I loved him, went to bed with a smile on my face, because tomorrow was going to be legendary.
October 15th, our 10th anniversary, the day my life was supposed to fall apart. I woke up early, made Marcus his favorite breakfast, eggs Benedict, fresh squeezed orange juice, coffee just the way he likes it. Happy anniversary, baby, I whispered, kissing him awake. He looked at me like I was a ghost. Happy anniversary. I spent the day at the spa. Hair done, nails done, full makeup, wearing the red dress he'd bought me for Christmas, the one that made him propose 10 years ago. Looking in the mirror, I didn't see a woman about to be destroyed. I saw a warrior preparing for battle. The restaurant was perfect. Soft lighting, flowers on every table, 50 of our closest friends and family, everyone who'd watched us build our life together. Marcus arrived separately. Work emergency, he texted. Right, more like needed time to panic. When he walked in, he looked pale. His parents hugged him, my parents hugged him, everyone telling him how lucky he was, how perfect we were together. He kept checking his phone. Jessica sending him countdown texts, no doubt. 2 hours until freedom. Can't wait to celebrate later. Remember what we practiced. Oh, I'm sure they'd practiced. Probably had a whole speech prepared. The dinner started beautifully. Champagne flowing, stories being shared, my dad talking about our wedding day, his mom showing baby pictures. Marcus drank 3 glasses of champagne in 30 minutes. Dutch courage. His hands shaking every time he reached for his glass. I sat beside him, the perfect wife,
holding his hand, laughing at stories, playing my role flawlessly. Then came the speeches. His best man talked about college. My sister shared embarrassing stories. Everyone raising their glasses to 10 more years. And then the moment arrived. Marcus stood up, cleared his throat, tapped his glass with a spoon. The room fell silent. 50 pairs of eyes on him, waiting for the loving anniversary speech. He looked at me, then looked away, took a deep breath. "I have something to say." His voice cracked, started again. "I have something important to say." My mom smiled, probably expecting a pregnancy announcement. His dad nodded encouragingly, everyone leaning in. Sarah and we've had 10 good years. Good years. Not great, not amazing. Good. But sometimes people grow apart. The smiles started fading, confused looks spreading across the room, my dad's jaw tightening. I've met someone. Gasps. Actual gasps. My aunt dropped her wine glass. Her name is Jessica, and she's my soulmate. I'm sorry, Sarah, but I'm leaving you. I want a divorce. The silence was deafening. You could hear the air conditioning humming, someone's phone buzzing, my mother's sharp intake of breath. All eyes turned to me, waiting for the tears, the screaming, the breakdown. Instead, I smiled.
I let the silence hang for exactly 5 seconds, long enough for the shock to sink in, for Marcus to start sweating, for everyone to hold their breath. Then I stood up, slowly, deliberately, my champagne glass in hand. "Well," I said, voice clear and steady, "that was certainly dramatic." Marcus blinked. This wasn't in his script. I raised my glass higher. "Since we're making announcements tonight, I have one too." His face went from pale to gray. "First, a toast to Jessica. May she enjoy her new life and her new debt." Marcus's eyes widened. What debt? I took a sip of champagne, let him squirm. "Oh, didn't she tell you? Your 23-year-old soulmate, the one with the Stanford MBA. She owes $200,000 in student loans, plus another $50,000 in credit card debt. But I'm sure you knew that." He shook his head. That's not true." "Really? Because I have the credit reports right here." I pulled out my phone, started reading. Sally Mae, $90,000. Private loans, $110,000. American Express, maxed out. Visa, maxed out. Should I continue? The room was riveted. This was better than any reality show. But wait, there's more. See, while you were planning your great escape, I was doing some planning of my own. Marcus sat down hard, nearly missed the chair. "Remember all those investments you've been making? The crypto? The offshore accounts? Yeah, about those." I nodded to my brother. He opened his laptop, started projecting onto the wall. Bank statements, transaction records, everything. Turns out, moving marital assets without consent, that's fraud. And fraud is illegal. Right, David? My lawyer friend stood up. "That's correct. In fact,
Marcus could face up to 5 years in prison. Marcus's dad gasped, "Son, what have you done?" But I wasn't finished. Oh no, I was just getting started. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know all this? Well, Marcus here forgot one tiny detail. His company? I own 51%. The color drained from his face completely. That's right. My inheritance, my connections, my late nights helping you build this business, they came with equity, legal, binding equity, filed with the state 3 years ago. Marcus started shaking. But the papers, the forged transfer documents in your office, the ones dated for tomorrow? Yeah, my lawyer already has copies. That's forgery. Add another 5 years. Jessica chose that moment to text him. His phone lit up on the table. "Is it done? Can I come to the restaurant now?" I laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, please, tell her to come. I have something for her too." But Marcus wasn't moving, wasn't breathing, just staring at me like he'd never seen me before. "See, here's what's going to happen. You're going to sign the divorce papers my lawyer has. Tonight, you're going to return every penny you stole, with interest, and you're going to walk away with exactly what you brought into this marriage. Nothing. You can't do this. Actually, I can. Because while you were sneaking around with Jessica, I was documenting everything. Every text, every transaction, every lie. I pulled out a thick folder, dropped it on the table. Photos spilled out. Him and Jessica at hotels, at jewelry stores, in positions that made his mother gasp and cover her eyes. Your clients have already been notified. David, would you like to share?" David stood up again. "I've terminated our contract with your company, Marcus, effective immediately, as have Johnson Tech and Riverside Medical. 60% of his revenue gone, just like that." Marcus's phone rang, his biggest investor. He didn't answer. We all knew what that call was about. "But here's the best part," I continued. "Jessica's going to dump you. Want to know how I know?" I pulled out my phone, showed him the messages. From Jessica to me. "Hi, Sarah. I don't know you, but I'm seeing your husband." That's from 2 weeks ago, when I told her you're broke, when I showed her the real financial statements, when she realized you've been lying about your net worth. The messages got nastier after that. "He's not worth my time. I can find a richer guy. Thanks for the heads up." Marcus looked like he might vomit or faint, or both. "So, congratulations, Marcus. You've lost your wife, your company, your money, your mistress, your reputation, and possibly your freedom, all for a girl who was using you, just like I was using you." I finished my champagne, set down the glass, picked up my purse. "The divorce papers are with your dad. Sign them tonight, or I press charges tomorrow. Your choice." I looked around the room at our families, our friends, all staring in absolute shock. Thank you all for coming. Dinner's on Marcus. He can afford it. For now. And then I walked out, head high, shoulders back, the sound of my heels on marble echoing through the silent room. Behind me, I heard Marcus break down, sobbing, his mother yelling, my father's voice, cold and furious. But I didn't look back. Winners never do.
I made it to my car before the adrenaline wore off.
sat in the driver's seat, hands shaking, heart pounding, the reality of what just happened hitting me like a truck. My phone exploded with messages. My sister, "Holy shit, Sarah." My best friend, "You absolute legend." My mom, "Are you okay, sweetie?" My dad, "I'm proud of you." But the best message? From David. He signed the papers. It's over. 45 minutes. That's all it took. For Marcus to sign away everything, to admit defeat, to realize he'd lost everything. I drove to the hotel I'd booked earlier, the suite overlooking the city, the champagne already chilling, the spa appointment for tomorrow, because I'd earned this. 3 months of pretending, 3 months of planning, 3 months of letting him think he was winning, all for this moment. I poured myself champagne, real champagne, the expensive stuff, sat on the balcony, watching the city lights. My phone rang. Jessica. I almost didn't answer. Almost. "You bitch," she screamed. "You ruined everything." "No, sweetie," I said calmly. "You ruined everything. The moment you decided to sleep with a married man, he said you were getting divorced. And you believed him? A man who would cheat on his wife would never cheat on you? How naive are you?" She was crying now, ugly crying. "I have nothing. He promised. He promised." Life lesson, Jessica. Promises from liars are worthless. And men who cheat with you will cheat on you. Every single time. What am I supposed to do now? Get a job? Pay your debts? Grow up? I don't really care. Just stay away from married men. I hung up. Blocked her number. Blocked Marcus's number. Blocked everyone who didn't matter anymore. The next morning, the story had spread. Small-town gossip travels fast. By noon, everyone knew. Marcus the cheater, Sarah the savage, Jessica the homewrecker. Marcus tried to salvage his business, but when your 3 biggest clients fire you, when your reputation is destroyed, when every potential partner Googles you and finds that story, you're done. He closed the company within a month, moved back in with his parents. Last I heard, he was working at his uncle's car dealership, selling used Toyotas, making $40,000 a year. Jessica disappeared from social media, deleted her Instagram, her LinkedIn, everything. Someone said she moved back to Ohio, back to her parents' basement, still drowning in debt. But the best part, the absolute best part, was the letter I got from Marcus's mother. "Dear Sarah, I'm sorry for what my son did. You deserved better. Thank you for not pressing charges. Thank you for letting him keep his freedom, even if he lost everything else. You're a better woman than I would have been. Love, Linda." I kept that letter, framed it, a reminder that revenge is best served with style.
You'd think, after that dinner, Marcus would slink away quietly, lick his wounds, accept defeat. You'd be wrong. 2 weeks after signing the divorce papers, he hired a lawyer, some ambulance chaser, who promised he could void the agreement, claimed I'd coerced him, blackmailed him, humiliated him. My lawyer laughed.
actually laughed when he got the filing. Does he not realize we have everything documented? The first hearing was a massacre. Marcus's lawyer tried to paint me as vindictive, calculating, manipulative. My lawyer presented evidence. Bank records showing the stolen funds, text messages planning the theft, the forged documents, photos of him with Jessica. The judge's face got stonier with each exhibit. "Mr. Peterson," she finally said, "you're lucky. Your ex-wife didn't press criminal charges. You committed fraud, forgery, theft, and now you want the court to reward you." Marcus's lawyer tried to interrupt. The judge shut him down. "I've seen enough. The divorce agreement stands. And, Mr. Peterson, if you file another frivolous motion, I'll recommend the DA look into those criminal charges. Understood?" But Marcus wasn't done. He tried going after my separate assets, claimed my inheritance was marital property, even though it was clearly excluded in our prenup. Oh, didn't I mention the prenup? Yeah, we had one, ironclad, written by my law school professor, the best family law attorney in the state. Marcus had signed it happily 10 years ago. "We'll never need this," he'd laughed. "I'll never leave you." Famous last words. His next move was even more desperate. He tried to claim the business was his idea, that I'd contributed nothing, that my 51% was fraudulent. Big mistake. See, I'd kept everything. Every email where he begged for my help, every contract I reviewed, every client I brought in, every late night I'd spent fixing his mistakes. My favorite piece of evidence was a video he'd made for our 5th anniversary. "I couldn't have built this without you, Sarah. You're not just my wife, you're my business partner, my better half, the brains behind everything." His lawyer watched that video, turned to Marcus, and quit, right there in the conference room. I can't represent someone who lies to me. Good luck, Mr. Peterson. The final nail in the coffin came from the IRS. Remember those offshore accounts? The ones he'd been hiding money in? Turns out you're supposed to report those. Who knew? Well, I knew, which is why I'd filed the proper forms, reported the suspected tax evasion, like a good citizen should. The audit was brutal. 3 years of returns examined, every deduction questioned, every transfer scrutinized. Marcus owed $200,000 in back taxes, plus penalties, plus interest. He had to sell his car, his watches, his precious golf clubs, everything. And Jessica, she tried to claim Marcus had promised her things, sent demand letters, threatened to sue for breach of promise. My lawyer sent her one letter back. "He was married. You knew this. No court will enforce the promises of an adulterer. Also, we have screenshots of you attempting to blackmail him. Would you like us to forward those to the authorities?" Never heard from her again. The whole legal process took 6 months. 6 months of Marcus flailing, desperate, trying anything to salvage something, anything. But when you've built your attack on lies, when you've underestimated your opponent, when you've burned every bridge,
You've got nowhere to go but down. And Marcus, he fell hard.
While Marcus was drowning in legal battles, I was rebuilding. Not just recovering, thriving. First thing I did, take a month off, traveled to Italy, ate pasta, drank wine, remembered who I was before I became Marcus's wife. Posted photos of me living my best life. Not to be petty. Okay, maybe a little petty, but mostly because I was genuinely happy. When I came back, I made changes. Sold the house, too many memories, bought a penthouse downtown, floor-to-ceiling windows, city views, a fresh start. Then I did something crazy. I started my own law firm, corporate law, my specialty, with a focus on helping women protect their assets. My first client? Marcus's mother. Yeah, you read that right. Linda called me. I want to divorce Harold, and I want you to handle it. You're the only lawyer I trust. Turns out, Marcus learned his cheating from somewhere. Harold had been having affairs for years. Linda had evidence. Lots of it. We took Harold for everything. The house, the retirement accounts, alimony that would make your eyes water. Linda sent me flowers after, for giving me the courage to fight back. Word spread. Women started calling. Wives who'd been cheated on, betrayed, gaslit, told they were crazy for suspecting. I took every case, won every case, because I knew their pain. I'd lived it. Within a year, I had 10 employees, a waiting list of clients, features in legal journals, the divorce lawyer who went viral. But the best part, the absolute best part, was running into Marcus at a coffee shop. He was in a cheap suit, hair thinning, looking 10 years older, ordering a small coffee, counting change. He saw me, froze, started to leave. Marcus, I called out. He stopped, turned around, looked like a beaten dog. Sarah. I walked over. Designer suit, designer shoes, designer confidence. How are you? He laughed bitterly. How do you think? I lost everything. My company, my money, my reputation. Jessica left me for some crypto bro. I'm selling cars and living with my parents. I'm sorry to hear that. And you know what? I actually meant it. Not because I felt bad for him, but because holding on to anger is exhausting, and I'd already won. I heard about your firm, he said quietly. Congratulations, you always were the smart one. We both made choices, Marcus. Mine just turned out better. He nodded, looked at his coffee. I'm sorry, Sarah, for everything. I was an idiot. Yes, you were. Do you think, could you ever forgive me? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I forgive you, Marcus. Not for you, for me. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and it definitely doesn't mean we're friends. He nodded again. I understand. Take care, Sarah. You too. I watched him walk away, shoulders slumped, defeated. A cautionary tale in a bad suit. Then I ordered my latte, went to my office, helped 3 more women plan their escapes, and lived my life, my best life. Because the best revenge, it's not just winning. It's building something so amazing from the ashes that you forget they even tried to burn you down. It's been 3 years since that anniversary dinner. 3 years since I stood up and destroyed my ex-husband's life. 3 years since I chose myself. People still ask me about it. At parties, at conferences. Are you the Sarah? The one who... Yes, I'm that Sarah. The one who smiled while her world imploded, then rebuilt it better than before. My firm now has 3 offices, 50 employees, a reputation for taking no prisoners. We've helped hundreds of women escape bad marriages, protected millions in assets, shown them they're not crazy, they're not weak, they're warriors. I've been invited to speak at law schools, women's conferences, even a TED Talk. When life gives you lemons, squeeze them in his eye. 2 million views and counting. But here's what I really learned from all this. First, trust your gut. That little voice that says something's wrong, listen to it. It's not paranoia, it's pattern recognition. Your subconscious picking up what your heart won't admit. Second, document everything. Every text, every email, every suspicious transaction. You're not being paranoid. You're being prepared. Third, know your worth. I spent 10 years supporting Marcus, building his dreams, sacrificing my own. Never again. Your dreams matter too. Your goals matter too. You matter too. Fourth, revenge is a dish best served legally. Could I have keyed his car, burned his clothes, posted his nudes online? Sure, but that would have made me the villain. Instead, I used the system, used the law, used his own greed against him, and I won everything. Fifth, the best revenge is massive success. Marcus thought I'd crumble without him, thought I needed him. Instead, I thrived, built an empire, became the woman I was always meant to be before he tried to make me small. People ask if I'm dating again. The answer is yes. His name is James. He's a pediatric surgeon, saves kids' lives by day, cooks me dinner by night, never once worked late without calling, never guards his phone, never makes me feel crazy for asking questions. He knows my story. Everyone does. He says it's what made him interested. Any woman who can destroy a man that thoroughly while wearing heels, that's wife material. We're taking it slow because I've learned to trust but verify, to love but protect myself, to hope but stay smart. My ex still texts sometimes. From different numbers. I don't respond, but I do screenshot them just in case. I miss you. I made a mistake. She meant nothing. Can we talk? Jessica reached out once too. LinkedIn message. She's a real estate agent now, in Ohio, still single, still bitter. I hope you're happy. You ruined my life. I didn't respond to her either, because she ruined her own life. The moment she decided someone else's husband was fair game. My ex-mother-in-law and I still have lunch monthly. Linda's thriving post-divorce, traveling, dating, living her best life at 65. You saved me, she tells me. Showed me I didn't have to accept less. My own parents are proud. My dad especially. You handled that with class. Brutal, devastating class. But the most important lesson, the one I tell every client, the one I want you to remember, you are stronger than you think, smarter than they assume, worth more than they offer. Don't let anyone make you small. Don't let anyone steal your joy, your money, your future, your life.
And if they try, if they think you're weak, if they underestimate you, smile. Plan. Execute. Win. Because the best revenge isn't just living well, it's living so well that they realize they were the one who lost everything. Not you. Never you.
To anyone watching this who sees themselves in my story, you're not crazy. You're not overreacting. You're not alone. Trust yourself. Protect yourself. Choose yourself. And remember, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Because you deserve better. You deserve truth. You deserve loyalty. You deserve everything. And if they can't give it to you, then smile, raise your glass, and toast to their future without you in it. Because the best revenge, it's not what you do to them. It's what you do for yourself. Every single time. Wait. Before you go, if you're Team Sarah, if you think cheaters deserve everything they get, smash that subscribe button right now. Because next week's story, a woman who caught her husband cheating at her own baby shower. Her revenge makes mine look gentle. Drop where you're listening from in the comments and share this with that friend who needs to hear it. You know exactly who.